Welcome! Today we will deal with the marketing strategy, part 1. We will finish up this topic during next classes. Just to focus on where we are on our program, we might recall that we're dealing with the market and the marketing aspects of the investment process. So when we analyze the aspects related to the implementation of the process, we have to deal with the market and the marketing parts. The outline is quite rich, and we will start with some general considerations. Then we will deal with the cases of application of the marketing strategy. And through these cases, we will see that considering different scenarios and situations, we might adopt some marketing strategies which are more effective, and we should not forget that the marketing strategy is just a part of the general strategic process of the company, which means that by definition there must be a high consistency between the marketing strategy and the general strategy of the company. The third aspect that we'll deal with is related to the elements of the marketing strategy. So we will start with the general consideration about the strategy itself, and then we will decompose this strategy into several items, and we will deal with specific aspects related to marketing. We will conclude this part by exploring the main features of the so-called 5 elements. So we will start with the exploration of these 5 elements of the marketing strategy, and as I was saying, we will complete the exploration of such a topic during the next class. Let's start with the general considerations. In order to define what marketing is and what a marketing strategy should be, we should recall the general definition of strategy. Strategy as a plan for survival and growth. So whatever company which is hosting a project has 2 main goals: to survive and to grow in terms of size, in terms of range, in terms of innovation, in terms of motivation for its personnel. When it comes to the marketing elements, we have the marketing strategy, which is an action plan to achieve desired market goals. Action plan recalls the general consideration that a strategy is a sequence of actions that should be put into place in order to achieve some goals. And specifically for the marketing strategy, these goals could be depicted by market share, which is the relative share of the market owned by our company compared to the others, and the penetration, which means the occupancy of a specific market or a specific segment of market by our company's products. The marketing strategy implies the understanding of several items. The first one is the demand-supply gap, if any, which means that the strategy itself should be able to depict and help the companies to figure what are the necessary moves in order to fill a gap, if any existent, in the market. Second item is related to the consumer needs. So if we recall the idea that products, being goods or services, are sold by the company in order to fulfill specific needs, it's crucial for the marketing strategy to understand what the consumer needs are. Third element, the competitor strategy. As the general strategies, the marketing strategies could not be deployed without considering our opponent's reactions and establishing existing actions, which means that it's crucial in order to define the specific market strategy to understand and study what our competitors are doing. And the marketing strategy is not independent from the general considerations that we could draw around the external environment. So, as we've seen already, the external environment is determining the firm's behavior, which means that, in other terms, the environment is conditioning the general strategy, and the general strategy plus the environment are conditioning our marketing strategy too. Once we have acquired familiarity with such general considerations, we could explore some cases in order to understand what is the utilization, the possible utilization of a marketing strategy. Cases of application. Case number 1. A firm is rapidly expanding market in a high growth industry. In such a situation, the marketing strategy should suggest differentiation of our product. So, general strategy could define differentiation as the attempt of enhancing the quality characteristics of our product in order to exploit better price conditions on the market. In terms of marketing, dealing with differentiation, as we will see, implies to deal with specific aspects of our product. So, the product features, as we will see, are one of the main elements in the marketing strategy. Case number 2, slow market growth, mature industry. So, if we recall the idea of the product life cycle, we have the market growth which is slowing down or becoming mature. Here we have two elements to combine in into the marketing strategy. Pricing, so we have to act in a way that the price of our product is still appealing for our potential customers. And segmentation. Sometimes in mature industries it's better to step back and kind of surrender in a niche rather than trying to keep on competing in the general arena. Case number 3, market growth decline, declining industry. So we are in the final phase of the life cycle, and the way out could be made of 3 different alternatives. Either specializations, so again concentration on specific products or services. It's about pricing, as we will see, we have some kind of way out pricing strategies. Brand identification. So even if the industry is declined, we could defend our brand awareness, and we can try to keep on selling our products to established customers, to loyal customers. So brand loyalty could imply the maintenance of the level of the sales of the company. After having explored these 3 general cases, we could face in a more close way the elements of marketing strategy. So basically, we might have different models and different theories depicting those elements of marketing strategy. We consider the general framework which recognizes 5 main elements. The first one is product. So product's characteristics, being goods or services, are one of the main elements of the marketing strategy. So if we recall the idea that the marketing strategy implies the understanding of customer needs, the product, physical or intangible, is the answer to such needs. Second, price. Once we have defined the product, we have different alternatives in terms of price. So we might have high cost, or better high price products, or low cost, low price products. Or we can play our competition with a pricing which is on an average level between the highest and the lowest we could achieve on such a market. Third element, promotion and advertising. So if the the company is a startup, or if the product is just being launched, in order to reach the final markets, it has to be promoted and advertised. Consumers should be aware of the existence of the product and should be able to taste or try the product itself. Distribution is about the bridge between the manufacturing and the markets. So those kind of bridges, those kind of channels, delivering products and services to the final customers are crucial for the strategy implementation. Fifth element, services. Services, as we will see, refers to a bunch of very differentiated activities with the common element of being deployed in the process of the transaction. So it could be information during the buying phase, or it could be after sale assistance. So once we have explored the fact that we need 5 elements in order to define a marketing strategy, let's consider the main features related to those 5 elements. Let's start with the product. To begin with, product is subject to different classifications, meaning that we could have consumer products and producer products. We might have luxury products and commodities and so on. So we need to refer to specific standard classifications in order to have a better definition of what a product could be. Second, the features, the characteristics of the product itself. Third, the so-called product mix. So once we have a product in mind, we could release different versions of the same product or launch different lines of the same macro category of a product. This is the product mix. The brand policy. So if we associate a brand, that could be the company brand or a product brand or a sub-brand to a specific product or service, then we have to define specific policy for such brands. Packaging. Packaging is very important because it's the way that the service, the product, mostly the physical ones, the goods, are presented to the market. When it comes to service, given their intangible nature, a package is made of other tangible and intangible aspects. So if we consider the restoration industry, for example, we have a service, but this service is based on something physical. When it comes to product classifications, we could distinguish between consumer goods, as we will see, and the producer goods that we'll see momentarily. When it comes to consumer goods, which are the goods that are consumed by a final consumer or which are both from a final customer, we have convenience goods when the consumer himself or herself does not choose in a rational way, meaning that sometimes it's just the occasion that implies the buying of a specific product. So if we consider someone enjoying a sunbath on the beach, the bowl of an ice cream could be considered a convenience occasion. So the ice cream itself could be considered a convenience good. Then we have the shopping goods. When it comes to shopping goods, consumers try to maximize their utility, which means that try to choose and they do the shopping in order to exploit the best conditions in terms of quality and price. The third classification of consumer goods is, the third item in this classification is about the specialty goods. Specialty goods imply a special attention by the consumers, which means the consumption of energy in order to choose a specific product or service. So when it comes to brand loyalty, brand awareness, or a lot of investigation about the different alternatives, we're dealing with specialty goods. Together with the consumer goods, we have another bunch of possible classification for goods, which are the producer goods. Producer goods are both by producers, so are products both by other firms. So we might have raw materials, intermediates, which are sub-products, machinery, equipment, and operating supplies, like utilities, for example. So we might deal with the idea of product, despite the fact that these physical goods could be both by consumers and by other companies. When it comes to product features, we should be familiar with the idea of range of products, which means that for the same need, again, the company could manufacture or deliver different alternatives. The second element is about the absolute and relative quantities. So, in the sales process, it's very important not only to deliver a specific product, a specific solution to our consumers, but it's also important to define the quantities of consumption associated to each transaction, which means that the very same product, like olive oil, for example, could be delivered through the distribution channels in different quantities according to the needs of the target customers. So if we consider that we have individual consumers or households, families, probably for the very same product we might have different quantities packaged and delivered for the final consumption. The rationale of the product features could be twofolded. The first aim, of course, is profitability. So companies are trying to define their products in a way that could maximize their profits in terms of price and quantity. Second is the client convenience. So, given the idea that we have to deliver a value to our consumers, that we have to let them perceive the idea of signing a deal with the company, convenience in the perspective of clients is crucial as well. Another feature is about the product mix, which is the set of all product line items. Being specific, a product line is a group of closely related products. So, if we are active in the food industry, for example, if we sell bread and biscuits or coffee and sugar, each sub-product of our range could be associated to a specific line. So, the idea of a line leads to the idea of the element of product mix, which are breadth, depth, and consistency. Let's have a closer look to these three dimensions of the product mix. The breadth is the number of product lines. So, for the very same product, we might have different lines. For each line, as we will see, we might have different pricing strategies, different distribution strategies, different brand policies, and so on. The depth, instead, is the number of variants of the very same product within the same line. So, if we consider a company having two lines, A and B, the breadth is given by the number 2 of the lines, and the depth is given by the different variants for each product of each line. So we might have A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3. What is very important is the consistency linking all these products within the different lines. Consistency means that we should give coherent and consistent messages to our existing and potential customers through the delivery of such products. What are the product mix implications? As we were saying, if we have different lines, different depth of such lines, and if we have to preserve the consistency of our product mix, we have several implications related to distribution network, promotion, pricing strategy, inventory costs, and risk factors. So if we consider the combination of these elements, it's pretty understandable that if we have two lines for the same product, let's say a high price, high quality line and a low price, low or average quality line, all these implications could be a booster or a constraint for our marketing strategy implementation, which means that probably we might be exposed to different distribution networks, we should refer to different promotion policies. Price is different by definition if we have a high price line and a low price line. Inventory costs could differ since the storage of such products could be more expensive or more risky if we consider the risk factor as well, considering the values of the goods that we're going to store. When it comes to risk factors, this is a very complex element. Just to sum up to recall some main items, the risk could be related to the market instability, which could be different for different lines of products. The risk could be related to the financing of the related activities. The risk could be related to the reliability of our distributors, and so on. So we have some product mix implications as well as we have some product mix decisions to be made. So when it comes to sales and profit, which is the link between the activity of selling some products and the economics of the operations itself, we should consider the line vulnerability, which is the consideration of all the risks related to the line itself. A line is vulnerable if our competitors could have a detrimental effect on our decisions. Second, the line viability. So once we have defined and designed the line, it should be viable, which means at the end that it should be possible to translate these plans into actions considering the amount of resources that the company is employing. The third element is the consideration of the so-called cash cows. Cash cows are business which are able to have low cost conditions and high revenues. So some lines could be defined as cash cows if, for example, there are established lines in mature industries, and if the position of our company is among the biggest player, it's quite easy to imagine that such an established product could be considered as a cash cow, creating incoming cash flows for each operations which is put into place. When it comes to product mix decisions, it's not just about sales and profit, it's also about the market profile, which means that, as we were saying in the premises, we could not ignore the competitors' products, since the consumers are exposed to different alternatives, so they might be able to choose between one alternative and another alternative. It's not possible to define our marketing strategy without considering the competitors' products. Again, their features, their mix, their price, and so on. And then, Also related to the market profile, we have the proposed product. Proposed product is related to the fact that once we have an idea what kind of needs should be fulfilled for our consumers, then we have to develop a business concept and to translate this business concept into proposal of our specific product. So, when it comes to product mix decisions, as we've seen, we have sales and profits and market profile decisions to be made. When it comes to the brand policy, of course we have to consider again as well the buying habits and the opportunities in the consumer's perspective. So, to be a little bit more specific, the brand policy could be considered regarding generic versus trademark. So we might have generic brands or, on the other hand, trademark. If we have a brand or a trademark, it's very important to understand the identification of such brands or trademarks in the consumer's perspective. So it's very important that our customers, the existing customers or potential customers, are able to identify and recognize our brand or trademarks among the others. There are also some legal implications to be considered, and these legal implications are related to the defense of our brands. So, if our brand is very prestigious, it's quite could happen that this brand could be faked by our low-cost competitors. So the defense of the brands itself, it's very important for the companies in terms of competitive advantage, in terms of defense of competitive advantage. And then we should consider the consumer reactions. Sometimes changing the brands or altering the existing brands could enact consumer reactions. If these reactions are positive, probably existing consumers and potential new customers might buy our products again. If the reaction is negative, it's the other way around, of course. Apart from the brand, another important element of our marketing strategy is related to the packaging. Now, the packaging itself has a first originary function, which is to protect the physical goods. During the moving, during the transportation, during the installation, during the uphauling or downhauling. So the original function of packaging was just related to the protection of the physical goods. Nowadays, when it comes to packaging, we could refer to the physical goods as well as to the services, even though it's more intangible. And if we refer to the physical goods mostly, the packaging itself could be promotional as well. So the packaging could be another additional appeal for the customers to explore or to try the product for the first time. So if the physical package or physical good, let's think about food for example, is attractive, probably consciously or unconsciously our customers are attracted by this packaging, and sometimes by the action of an impulse they try to buy our products. So they try it for the first time because they are attracted by the packaging itself. When it comes to packaging, another important element is related to the environmental issues. So discarded packages produce wastes in most of cases. So in the world there is a general attention to the green related issues, which means that consumers themselves are more and more aware of the possible pollution impacts of the packages and other wastes, which means that in turn, when they buy some products, they pay more attention to the fact that the package itself could be environmental friendly or not. Statutory requirements in some industries, like food, for example, apart from the protection and or the promotion intentions of the company, packaging might be compliant with some statutory requirements. So if we have some obligations by the law for preserving the quality of a certain kind of product in a specific way, the packaging should be compliant with such regulations. And then we have the costs. Of course, being a part of the product mix, and most of all of the element of the market strategy, packaging is costly. So the trade-off between just the protective packaging versus a high-impact packaging, promotional packaging, it's another element of economic evaluation related to the costs of the product and ultimately to the price of the product itself. Pricing is another crucial element within the marketing strategy. So, when it comes to pricing, companies have different alternatives in terms of approaches, how to calculate and fix the prices of products. The first approach is the cost-based one, which means that the company is taking in consideration the total costs for manufacturing and delivering a specific product, and it's adding percentage of profit to this actual costs. Second, another approach could be buyer-based. So a company starts fixing the price considering the maximum, the highest price that the buyer could pay for buying such a product. The price definition could be competitor-based as well. So again, the starting point of the analysis could be made of the exploration and the analysis of our competitors' prices. Of course, prices will not be considered in general terms, but they will be considered in relative terms, which means that during such analysis, the focal company is collecting information about not only the price of the product, but also the features and the characteristics of our competitors' products. Channel price build-up means that the price of the product is influenced by the distribution channel that we're going to utilize for our products delivery. So, in the music industry, for example, different products or the same products, let's say a song by a singer, could be sold at two different prices, considering the fact that the same song is delivered, is contained in a physical good, which is a CD-ROM, for example, and sold through physical distribution channel, or if the same song is sold through an e-commerce channel, the price could be different. So pricing could be related to channel price by using this build-up approach. And then we have statutory or regulatory prices. So in many industries, it's the government or it's a superior authority which is fixing the prices of the products themselves. When it comes to strategies, so the specific choices about pricing, companies have different alternatives. The first one is the so-called rapid skimming. So, as with the milk, the skimming is the scratch of the surface of the pricing strategy, which means that the company is trying to have high prices in order to detect, in order to catch the percentage of the market which is able to pay high prices for the product itself. Rapid penetration, it's just the opposite. Low prices for rapid penetration in new markets. Slow penetration is made of a slow increase of sales through a price which goes from the average to the top. Then we have psychological pricing, which is associated to the idea that consumers have of the product. So the buyer, in such a case, is biased by the perception of the quality, for example, of the products. Luxury goods are a good example of how prices could be related to psychological aspects. Then we might have discriminatory prices, so different prices, for example, for different lines of products, if each line is associated to a specific target. And then we might have the loss leader, which is related to the fact that in several markets we might have, in the same market we might have different segments, and in each segment we might have different leaders. When it comes to promotion, we have different alternatives as well. We have trade shows and expositions as a moment for promoting our products. Promotion, again, implies the fact that the buyer is attracted to the product, and promotion is most effective when it's able to help or stimulate the consumption or the first consumption of these products. We might have media advertising, so we might have different media and channels and different kind of advertising. Free or no risk trials, so it's just the material consumption or the trial of a product. We might have lobbying, which is the pressure towards the group of interests and the pressure that a specific company could exercise on a government or whatever authority in order to stimulate the promotion of a product. Again, we might have the warranty services as an element of promotion. So even after sale services could become a leverage for the promotion of the product. Technical services and public relations. So when it comes to the elements of the market strategy, we have these basic elements. In the next class, we will continue with the exploration of these elements of the marketing strategy, and we will focus more on the implementation aspects. That's everything for today. Thank you for your attention, and please refer to our website for further deepening. Thank you.